So our next presentation after this, well, so many questions come to our mind when it comes to web. Web 2, Web 3. So will Web 3 outperform Web 2? The first question. Second is, how will the transition from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0 would be like? Which platform we should trust? All right, to get the answers of all these questions, we have with us our next session, which is Web 2 to Web 3 with Metapolis, how brands can leverage the metaverse for engaging millennials and Gen Z. I think this is the most important topic to talk about. So we have with us a speaker for this session who will give you the presentation. Yes, I would like to invite on stage Mr. Mohan Kuldeep Ponnada, who is the CEO and co-founder, Metapolis and co-founder and CEO of Chand Innovation Labs. Please welcome on stage Mr. Mohan Kuldeep Ponnada.
Hello, everyone. Oh, is that too loud? Are we all still asleep from lunch, or still? What's the vibe like in the room, so I can think? Are we all awake and engaged? I see a lot of students here. Can I get a clap? Can I get a clap, please? All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm glad to have you here. I'm Mohan Ponnada. I'm the founder of Chand Metaverse, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Metapolis. So what we do at Metapolis is that we are a Metaverse as a service platform. And before I go there, let me start with a statement. Guys, Metaverse is inevitable, okay? Let me repeat that again. Metaverse is inevitable. It is going to be here. It might take 3 years, maybe 4 years, 5 years, we don't know when. But Metaverse is here. It is alive and it's kicking. And let me break it down to you, right? For people who don't know too much about it, if you know already a lot about it, you will listen to it again. So, generally, people, when you talk about Metaverse, people think of Metaverse, they remember that movie Ready Player Me. It was on the screen just a few minutes ago, right? That is the ultimate endpoint of the Metaverse. That's where it's going to go. But if you take a step back and look at the early internet, right? I think I don't know how many of you were around. You all look like Gen Z and Gen Z to me. But there was ARPANET before the internet. So today's Metaverse is sort of at the stage of ARPANET to internet, right? It's still in its infancy. There's a lot of technology that is being figured out. There's a lot of improvements happening, but at a rapid pace. But what I can tell you for sure is that the transition from Web 2 to the Web 3 is not going to take as long as the transition from traditional Web to Web 2. Because the infrastructure, the technology, the intelligence, everything is growing at such rapid pace. Believe me, every day, me and my team, my colleagues, our partners in this space, every day we wake up to something new and we're building something new, we're deploying something new. In the last 3 months, our platform has grown by at least 300%. So that's a great sign, right? So that brings me to my first point about the Metaverse from the brand perspective. What brands need to understand really well in this space is that there is a lot of immersion on the Metaverse right now, but there is no awareness. That's the difference. The moment there is awareness, we have seen that the immersion and engagement is really high. Because the reason is, again, how many of you in the room are gamers? Right? Can I have a hand count, please? Okay, there's a lot of gamers, right? There are 2.5 billion of you in this world at least, right? There's 2.5 billion gamers. Guys, that's 1/3 of the world's population, right? I mean, it's a lot. And all of you guys are digital natives to the Metaverse. Once it becomes mainstream, you are the first people who will be adopting it. It's just that you have not been exposed as much to the Metaverse as you have been exposed today to the internet, right? It's going to change really soon. And I'll also tell you why you will enjoy it so much and why brands should rush to be on the Web3 and Metaverse bandwagon. Because whenever you play games, let's say you take the example of Fortnite. How many play Fortnite here? Fortnite players? Anyone? Great. So you remember when you create your avatar, you purchase your in-game assets. Can you take that into another game? Let's say God of War. Can you take those avatars and assets? No, right? So, but you have spent hundreds of hours on Fortnite. What happens to that? Nothing, right? So this is the difference, right, guys? You have to understand something, and brands also have to understand something. There's a difference between gamified worlds, and there's a difference between a metaverse. Do not equate that. Do not make them the same, because metaverse is a completely different concept. It takes all the parts of Web 2.0, right, and tries to make them more immersive, more engaging, and more user-centric and user-owned. That's what the metaverse does. Gamified worlds are completely different. It's like creating a game on Unity or Unreal Engine or some game and then deploying it on the web and saying that this is a metaverse. It's not the same. Gamified worlds are used for activations. They are not used for long-term engagement, right? So that brings me to my next point and my suggestion to the brands. The reason why you have to be on the metaverse is because the first movers in this space will have a bigger chunk of this game. In the 90s, when the internet was out, the brands and businesses were asking the same question, saying, why do we need a website? Why? Because everybody was comfortable with the newspaper, right? And magazines. Publishing was great. It was great news. Everybody was happy. The ecosystem of this ecosystem kind of flourished, right? Are you guys following me? Yeah? Are you with me? Am I making you sleepy? No, right? Okay, great. So the ecosystem was established and it was there. So there was it took time for companies to move to the internet. But they realized in, let's say, early 2000s, or during the dot-com, the boom time, where everyone wanted to be on the internet because it became a digital address for brands, right? It's an address. End of the day, what happens is brands have to go where users are. They have to. I mean, this cannot be refuted, right? Wherever the users are, brands have to go there because this increases exposure and it increases sales. Bottom line, this is marketing 101 and sales 101. So today, when you look at the landscape of the metaverse, it is in the early internet stages where people are saying, why do we need a Web3 presence? Why do we need a metaverse presence? But you have to understand that you have 2.5 billion digital natives, and they're only limited by awareness of this and access to proper platforms of metaverses. Because already if you look at Roblox, which is sort of like, it kind of falls into the category of a metaverse. It's there, but that's a different topic altogether. It has millions and millions of users, right, on a daily basis. Their entire economy is built on Roblox. Imagine the same thing happens with the internet. The early movers, and especially gamers, what happens again, coming back to the example of the assets you have in Fortnite, you cannot carry it elsewhere. But what happens in the metaverse, it's going to enable, it's going to be the bridging, it's going to be the layer that bridges the games that you play with your digital identity, with the actual internet and your ownership of your assets and data, which completes a full cycle, right? And this is important for brands to understand and really, really consider in their marketing and sales and other aspects, is because all of the gamers have some sort of assets. These gamers have very, very strong online identity. They spend so much time on there that having a special jacket on Fortnite is a big deal because you sweat a lot on top of that. My brother-in-law spends so much time on Dota, and others don't get it, but I get it because I come from that use case. He has so much assets, but in the physical world, he has a different complete personality. But on the digital world, he has a completely different personality. He's a superstar. But he cannot take those digital assets and bring them back to the physical world because he has not spent that much time here. He's a digital native to the metaverse, or he's digital native to a world that he's spending 10, 20, 15 hours a day. It's like working full time. Now, if you have the metaverse, what happens is, with the concept of interoperability, all these assets will be able to be used by the user on their digital identity. Just before me, we had a very big talk about virtual identities. So now, the special jacket that you have won in Fortnite you can now kind of go and show it off in any metaverse, let's say Roblox, Decentraland, Metapolis, wherever you want, right? So this actually kind of adds to the whole value of this ecosystem. And it's going to be really, really big and really intense. So we had examples of Wendy's. We just saw this earlier. Brands are going into gaming platforms and becoming the users to gain attention. So there's already competition and people trying to, and brands trying to understand how users behave. And now it's a well-known fact that it is going to be a very, very, very big ecosystem, right? So on that perspective, what Metapolis does, coming back to what we have to say, is that we are action leaders in this space. We are thought leaders in this space. We really understand this space. We are very good at understanding the users. We are very good at understanding market opportunity. And when we talk about the market opportunity and brands, there is a big, big question for brands itself. They say, maybe they want to get into Web3, but they don't understand, where do I fit? Maybe they want to get into the metaverse. So they don't know, what is my first step? Who do I approach? How do I buy land? How do I reach out to people? How do I deploy my first experience? So let me tell you that this, frankly, is not something you should worry about. It should be people like us who will handhold you and provide the solutioning of it to say, this is probably the first step for you on the metaverse. Because, see, the way people engage on the metaverse is going to change completely. It's going to be a very big shift in user experience. Why I'm saying that is because there is a very strong reason why I'm saying this, and everybody in the room, including brands, students, everybody should understand this, right? When we say metaverse, actually, before I start, are we all alert? Are you with me, guys? Yeah? Can I get a clap or something just to say? Yeah, okay. Wow, that's awesome. Thanks, guys. So you're enjoying this talk. I'm enjoying it too, by the way. So what we have to understand, right? When we talk about metaverse, people talk about it as Ready Player Me. But what we all have to understand that this is going to be a baby steps, right? Today's metaverse can be experienced on your laptop. It can be experienced on your mobile. It can be experienced through augmented reality. It can be experienced through Oculus and virtual reality. So these are going to be baby steps before they go on fully into VR and haptics and bodysuits. Believe me, they are not far away, right? Believe me, they are not far away. They are probably just few years away. But there's nothing stopping brands from creating digital experiences on platforms like Metapolis or Decentraland or Sandbox, where they create a digital experience and let users come. Essentially, what they're doing is changing the current 2D interface, right? So if you are, right now we're all using the Ubers and Olas and Swiggis and Zomatos, right? All of us here regularly. And you use a 2D flat screen for engagement. On the metaverse, the first step is going to be to create a semantic, which means meaning, okay? It's going to be a meaningful web and 3-dimensional. The reason why this is very, very important is to have proper learning mechanism. Let's say you have to trek to the top of a mountain. You cannot just stand here. The guide cannot take you to the foot of the mountain and say, okay, jump. You know, it's impossible to do it because there's a huge gap in the learning curve. But the immediate, so as a community, as adopters and users of this space, we have to understand that it is iterative and it gives people an opportunity to experience it on a step-by-step basis. So, yeah, I think my time's up. I had a couple more things to connect, but thanks for being a wonderful audience. And if you have any questions, I'm probably around somewhere sitting on the table. Just come talk to me. Follow our Twitter handle. And yeah, good luck. Thanks, guys.